Hello, we have an amazing guest today.
Is it Greg Tito?
It's me. I'm the guest. I'd like to welcome myself. How are we doing, Greg? Well, I'm doing fine.
Himself all the time.
It's fair.
How's it
Something
going,
his
Kate Welch?
therapist told him to do.
Hello, I'm Kate Welch.
Hi.
Here I am.
You work for the Dungeons and Dragons,
I do.
and you've been doing
do.
it for a year.
For a year
I know,
now.
guys. I know.
Oh, we
Can
should
you
have brought
even
like party
believe it?
hats and confetti.
I know. Well, next year.
Oh,
2
You
years.
can wear the ship if you want. We can put the ship on your head.
No,
and
that's
throw the
not,
dice in the
That
air.
is not going to work.
We've
yeah,
tried.
It's been a year. It feels simultaneously like it's been 10 years and a week.
That's a good sign.
Right? Isn't that? I think it's a good sign because the sheer amount of stuff that I've learned and like shipped and worked on is far and away more dense in the last year
You
than
said
I think
shipped,
I've
right?
shipped.
Let's
yes,
just be
yeah, that's a
clear.
little.
Get it? 'Cause
That's a
it's-
little pun. Goes to Saltmarsh joke. No, it's because in video games things take years to ship and may never ship, which is the case for several of the projects that I worked on. But here it's like ship and ship and ship and ship, and it's very satisfying. But it's also a lot, and it's so enjoyable that time seems to go very fast.
When you because you said that on the Twitter, that it was like, oh, it's been a year. And I'm like,
I
is
know.
it really? I
Yeah.
could not fathom it. I was like, this just seems like
I thought
just
it was
yesterday.
more like April or May.
It was February 5th was my first day.
Damn.
I will remember.
Do you
it
remember your
always.
interview?
God, yes.
Do you remember me?
Yes, I remember you because they told me that you were Avalon Hill, and I was like, I immediately go Betrayal at House and Hill is my favorite board game.
And then my eyes turned
yep,
into hearts.
Yep, and Shelley was like, hire her.
I was like, I'm done.
Done and
I'm
done.
saying, yeah.
And then you ran out and you gave me a copy of Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
Because I really liked you.
Yeah, and I really liked you after that.
There was like, that really?
Yeah.
You didn't like me before that?
No.
I spent an hour with you.
Yeah.
And you were like,
Meh.
eh.
No, I thought you were amazing.
What do you got for me?
Yeah, what's this frizz my free stuff? Yeah. No, it was, and it's true. It wasn't me sucking up. I was like, oh shit, Avalon Hill, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. I absolutely love that game. Betrayal at House and Hill. Now I love Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. So.
And Betrayal Legacy.
And Betrayal
Ooh,
Legacy.
is that still, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Have you guys told them this
Salty.
What?
friggin' story? We were
Speaking of Saltmarsh.
Shelley. Shelley goes, hey, we're thinking about starting a Betrayal Legacy game here at the office. Do you want in? And I was like, yes, I do. I would love to. We'll play like 13 weeks of it. It'll be a blast. I've never tried a Legacy game before. So, and then the first friggin' week,
You weren't there.
I couldn't be there because I'm important and busy. But Nathan Stewart was like, I'll do it, and I'm going to take Kate's place forever. And now I can't play Betrayal Legacy because it hurts.
He claims there was like a misunderstanding. He's like, I thought you were inviting me forever. And I was like, I was inviting you for a session. And then you had to give it up back to Kate.
Boy, howdy.
But he played one. This is how good that game is.
That's
he
right.
Was like,
Once you get a
I
taste.
am just going to betray in real life.
Yeah, Betrayal Legacy it works on many levels.
It does.
Every level.
It's like a LARP.
Yep, it's LARPing.
We've basically been LARPing this entire time. We've been playing. It's still set up right now.
You can take Bart's place. Like I'd kick him
Yeah,
out of
betray
the group.
Bart. That'd be great.
Oh man, that would be kind of fun to build that mechanic into a betrayal game. It's like you have to betray each other in real
Yes.
life now. Yeah,
That's a loss.
Here's a
That's
monkey
right.
spa.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
That's-
Yes.
Yeah. Our legal team just went. She's
Yeah.
kidding.
Why did you give them the monkey spa?
Yeah.
They're dead now. It's not going to work ever.
Yep.
But
Why doesn't the monkey have the
I think
paw?
you can also do some like off the top rope elbowing to get a spot back. I think that's
I
the
think
way.
so. I don't even think I'd have to do that. I think I just like give them a real stern, ferocious look. Bart would back down immediately.
He would.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't
I'll
forget
quit.
who he's married to.
I'll quit my job." I know.
It doesn't even have to be that stern of a look. It's just like a look.
any direct eye contact.
Look away. Look away.
You're
The
gonna
fight
turn
or
to
flight
stone.
immediately is a fight.
That Medusa comes out.
So you guys just chill out and have fun on Dragon Talk. Huh?
Pretty much.
Wait, so
Yeah.
you don't
That's
listen to
it.
the show either?
No.
Raise your hands if you've listened to an episode of Dragon Talk.
I think I've listened to one.
Oh, there you go.
But
Good. More than Shelley.
Usually on Fridays, I'm either on my way home to work or at work. So it's
Busy
hard.
doing stuff.
Yeah, if I am listening to things on Twitch, I'm only halfway paying attention. But I will work my way through the archives, I swear to God.
I haven't
worthwhile.
seen Spoilers and Swag, but only for a very good reason.
What's that?
It's at the same time as my appointment with my personal trainer.
Oh my God. Shelley's got to get hard-bodied.
Yeah.
So she's letting them.
I got to keep up with the Keshas of the world.
That's true. You do got to keep it tight.
I do. You got to. And it takes a lot, let me tell you. At this age.
So I understand Kesha's your daughter?
Yeah.
Right on. That's awesome.
I mean, usually people just hear me talk about Quinn, but I mean, she's kind of like, she likes to be private.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to go out and spoiling all her
I don't
life
want
secrets.
People to think that like I got where I am today because of my daughter.
Of the celebrity connection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we all know.
Now we do.
Why.
Apparently, today's like when the statute of limitations is up, where you can just like talk about it whenever.
It's her birthday.
That's
why.
Happy birthday,
It's
Kesha.
her birthday today.
Is it seriously, Kesha?
Yeah, I heard.
Happy birthday, Kesha.
Good for you, Kesha.
Technically, today and yesterday is Chris Perkins' birthday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
And nobody, as far as I know, has done anything outlandish for him yet. And it's not too late because his birthday, if for those of you who don't know, Chris Perkins is so magical and strange because he was born on February 29th.
Of course.
So he's technically only about 12 years old. And so I think we got to do something for him today. We got to blow it up. We got to do something real strange.
Last time he had his actual February 29th when it was a leap year.
Yeah.
We
2016.
did a whole infographic about like how long he had been here and what that meant and what his, how many ventures he's worked on and all these issues and stuff that he's worked on.
He loves data. That's so sweet.
It was very sweet. Of course, Emmy designed it. It was glorious.
Okay. So it was cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So next year, let's blow it out.
Is it a leap year?
It'll be a leap year next year, right?
Yeah. 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for Chris
'Cause
Perkins.
he's-
He doesn't listen to this show. He's not going to know. We could plan the entire party here.
Oh, that's
Does
a good idea.
anyone
We should do
listen
it.
to the show?
No one does. Not even Ryan. Pelham is barely
even
paying
our sound
attention.
Pelham's
engineer.
listening to music in his headphones.
Nice.
Pelham, why are you working on PowerPoint?
It's like I got work to do.
Dude, that's Apex Legends.
So one of the first projects you worked on when you started here
Yes.
all 12 months ago was what would become Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and then you actually came up with the title for that. Is that true?
What? Come on.
No, I did. So Ghosts of Saltmarsh was, do you guys talk about code names on this show? Or
I mean, past code names is fine.
Okay, is it okay for me to talk about it?
I think so.
Okay, so this was, the code name was Yippee, and I don't know why. Our code names make no sense.
They really don't.
And so my first day, they were like, we're in the last 2 weeks of Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, so we'll put you on reading that manuscript and just finding, obvious typos and errors and things like that. But also some longer term projects for you. Day one, they were like, you are going to be managing the production of Yippee. We'll put you in charge in the freelancers who are working on this product. And
what does it mean to be you are managing or put in charge of? What does this mean?
I think it varies from product to product because everybody kind of has their fingers in everything. But what it meant for Ghosts of Saltmarsh was that I was the main point of contact for the freelancers who were the folks at Kobold Press who did an incredible job. They did the first pass of updating the adventures from the original, I think it's 2nd edition Dungeon magazine, and putting them into 5th edition language, which is sorely needed for a lot of those old adventures. Right. And then, so I would take their turnovers, I would send them feedback, they would give revisions, and then from there, once it got to a good enough point, we took it, we gave it to our editors, we went over it. I've read those adventurs at least 100 times each. I've got them all memorized. If any of you want to run them, I don't even need the book.
So on page 42, it says...
oh, yeah, there's a whole Sahuagin encounter on page 42. I actually haven't seen the manuscript as it's laid out yet, so I'm excited to see that. I think it has been laid out in design, and it's ready for eyeballs one of these days. But
that's super cool.
I'm really excited. But so, yeah, and then the other part of it was we wanted to, this was actually Mike Merle's influence. We were looking at these old adventures as they were coming in, and I was checking in with him, of course, as we went, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, because this was my first month here. And so he and Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins were all extremely helpful to me in that time. But there was a point where Mike sat down with me and was like, so we've got these old adventures, we're updating them, but what can we really do to make this book pop? It's missing something. It's not, I don't want to just do old adventures updated. What else can we add? And so what we ended up deciding on was a pretty robust chapter about the port city of Saltmarsh itself. We wanted that to feel like a place that you could just set an adventure in and have enough information about what's going on in the town and the factions and the drama. And then also a section on, we wanted to do something where we provided in-depth rules for what it's like to run a campaign at sea. Which is mentioned. There's a page or two in the DMG about running a seafaring campaign, but it's not robust. So we wanted to provide, a ton of stat blocks for ships. We wanted to give you rule sets about what it's like to adventure underwater, exploring shipwrecks, making sure that when people are both above and below the sea, that they have all kinds of resources to help them run really interesting, cool adventures that feel like D&D. And that was a fun challenge because it's easy to make it feel like Master and Commander, like those cool books and movies about the sea. But because it's D&D, you want it to be fantastical, right? Yeah. Exactly. So that was the fun spin that we got to put on all of the existing nautical rules.
I love that stuff because it feels like a book now that you could use in many different capacities. I mean, it follows along the kind of philosophy about Willow's Guide to Monsters and Sandler's Guide to Everything and things like that, where it's like, here's a book that it hits multiple notes, right? So
totally.
If you just want to know about how to run a campaign, you can do it that way. Here's some examples. Here's just a town that you can pick up and use everywhere.
Yeah.
I love all that.
And I know that I saw a little bit of sadness in the community that it isn't a pure Greyhawk book.
Yeah.
And I know that Greyhawk has a ton of fans and a lot of fondness and nostalgia. I will say Saltmarsh originally was a town from Greyhawk, and we have sort of extricated it from that setting and made it agnostic, so you can put it in whatever setting. However, we have lots of little nods in there still for fans of Greyhawk who are excited about aspects of it. I think Tharizdun is a Greyhawk deity that we've got. There's an adventure that has to do with him, and so if you want to set this in Greyhawk, it's going to be a wonderful time for you to do that, and please feel free. But also, since so many people in the 5th edition have been setting their campaigns in the Forgotten Realms, we didn't want them to feel like this is a book that is not useful for me, right?
Pulled it. I like the idea of doing things agnostic.
I do too. Yeah. Especially because this isn't really a setting book. It's an adventure book that happens to have a setting included with it, like a little mini setting, little mini rules, and then a bunch of little mini adventures. So this book hopefully has something for everybody.
And it's similar to Tales from the Yawning Portal in that regard too, where like those things came. Some of them were from Greyhawk, some of them for even crazier areas that aren't less explored than D&D canon.
Right.
But it's like, here, you can put them anywhere. You can stitch them into your current homebrew campaign. You can put it in the Forgotten Realms if you want.
Totally.
And I think that just makes it appealing to more people.
Yeah, I agree. And until we actually do like a robust Greyhawk setting book, which who knows, then it just makes more sense because like I said, there's so much Forgotten Realms campaigning that's going on in 5th edition that we want to make sure that everybody feels like they've got stuff that is exciting to them in these books.
And what's cool about it too, I mean, because of all the Easter eggs or the little details that are in there too, it makes people want to explore more. Like, what is Greyhawk? I mean,
totally.
there's a whole generation of D&D fans out there that know nothing about that setting.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's really, I mean, what's great when I had Mike on here for Lore You Should Know, and it was like, oh, tell me about this setting and let me know about it because I know some things, but I want to know more.
Yeah,
and I think
same.
people will have that same impetus by picking up this book.
I actually don't know that much about it at all. What is it about the setting that people love? Why do they love it so much?
It was Gygax's setting, I think. And so the Forgotten Realms was largely invented, I think, or at least is credited to Ed Greenwood for the creation of it.
Right.
And so Greyhawk, as I understand it, was something that Gygax himself invented. That was his world. And so a lot of folks out there who have been exposed to it, who are longtime fans, I think they have a fondness for it because it feels like the master's creation, right? Like the guy who did D&D. This is the place where he thought D&D would be set. Yeah. But I honestly don't know much about Greyhawk either.
Yeah, and it was an implied setting too, in a way. Like
really?
In a lot of the books that were not setting books, it was there kind of as the background,
right?
And so a lot of people when they were picking up and learning about D&D, it was, instead of it thinking of as a generic fantasy element, it was generic Greyhawk elements.
Got it.
And so a lot of people kind of associated that, from the early period of 75 to 90. That was pretty much all that was available.
Right.
So it just felt very close to what D&D fandom was.
That makes sense.
But then now that all the settings have kind of come out in second edition era, there's been a diaspora of a bit, right? And so that people are getting, excited about, maybe we'll go back to that old kind of thinking again, to a certain extent.
Yeah. And those books, I mean, all of those settings exist, and it's easy to find plenty of people who are running in those vintage settings. So if it's something that's exciting to you, those resources are definitely available. I don't know how much Greyhawk material is on the DMs Guild, but that's probably where I would start looking if I wanted to find like 5th edition old Greyhawk stuff. Like the Saltmarsh just whets your palate. You want to know more about that setting, then you can definitely get out there and find stuff.
I've been seeing a lot of chatter from people, and this is I agree with, is that I mean, you don't need to go in with a lot of lore or setting knowledge in order to enjoy Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah,
I think there's definitely a portion of the audience that enjoys that part of it, and I'm one of those people. I really like digging into that stuff. But at the table, it's not really necessary.
Yeah,
and I think the philosophy for 5th edition has been that from the get-go.
Yeah,
has been like, here's the setting of Forgotten Realms, but you could do it anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's DM's fiat is everything.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I think that that's partially because we wanted 5th edition to be more new player friendly, and also because I think that having a barrier to playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that barrier being like you'd need to know a lot about the history and the lore, that's a gate, and that's not something that a lot of people have time for or even interest in. So the idea of gating anything behind this sort of vintage knowledge, certainly knowledge that I don't have. So like if that had been a requirement of this job, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here. But I did research it. I researched everything, and the Forgotten Realms is just. It's just the most popular setting. That's just all there is to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about the town of Saltmarsh, for example? Like what are it's kind of some hooks that people might be able to latch onto? Not necessarily giving anything away, but like hey, what
won't be too spoilery. But Saltmarsh is a pretty shitty place. I think is the writing, the book is not shitty.
Let me clarify this. Everything that I did on it was great.
I mean, it was a nice place.
Everyone else,
it was a nice place till I got there.
Crapped it up.
But it's very seedy. There are tons of different crime families and enterprises that are vying for power over Saltmarsh, and so you can kind of like throw your lot in with a variety of folks. There are plenty of honest sailors too, but it's definitely it's a place. It's got a lot of smuggling, a high smuggling trade, and so smugglers and other kinds of seafaring criminals they figure into a lot of the adventures that you're going to have in Ghost of Saltmarsh. What else? There's plenty of colorful new NPCs that we have going on there that you're going to love role playing with your party. And then I think the most interesting thing, I'm just staring at this model of a boat we have here on the table because it's very inspiring, but it's I don't want to be too spoilery. There's a contradiction in my mind because the adventures are all old, and so the statute of limitations on spoilers has probably passed. But I don't want to be spoilery because these are adventures that we're intentionally introducing to people in 5th edition for the first time.
Yeah.
But I will say that if you run the adventures, there is a cool boat, and that's I don't want to say too much more, but it was part of the inspiration for the title of the book. So yeah. So
you came up with the title.
I did. It was not in a vacuum. We had a huge meeting with people, and we're just throwing names up on the board, which is on Spoilers and Swag. We showed off a bunch of joke covers that Shauna had mocked up for us.
Nice.
And
of the titles that didn't get picked.
Yeah, well, titles that were never going to get picked, but it was like Boats and Shite was one of them. I think that was also one of mine. I was like, how about just like boats and shit? And
that's a front runner for me.
Yeah,
I would buy that.
And you could do the ampersand, like the official. There was
I feel like we have a new IP potentially in that.
Boats and shit. Yeah. Let's talk about this. Okay. We'll table this.
All right. There Avalon was Hill's always interested.
We got free agent Shelley over here. Like, wait a second.
I like you, Kate Welch. Let's have a meeting.
I'm an idea lady. There was Walk the Plank. There was Under the Sea. So we had a bunch of fake titles, but that was just like the ones that we came up with because we were trying to get our bad ideas out. And there were some other good ideas. We did this whole meeting, and none of us really had we didn't have a favorite. And I remember like some of them were pretty cool. But then after the meeting, I sent an email to the group, and I was like, "What about Ghosts of Saltmarsh?" Because Saltmarsh is the main setting. We want people to know that that's like you're going to come back to this sort of hub that is Saltmarsh whenever you want to, but also because of the name of the ship that I'm alluding to, that I don't want to spoil, but also because it was there are old adventures that we're resurrecting, right? So these are ghosts of the past, and they're like bringing them in. One of the adventures was written by your friend and mine, Mike Merles.
That's right. In a
salvage operation.
It was in a dungeon magazine?
I believe so, yeah. And I think it was written a long time before you worked here.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. This was Baby Merles.
A Baby Merles adventure?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny to think of him like, Baby Merles working in IT somewhere in New York City. I'm like secretly writing adventures.
Why is he a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Because this is how his arms look in real life.
Have you not ever seen him type?
Have you never seen Mike type?
Have you not seen his arms?
Yeah.
Are they really? Yeah. Well, now I need to go set up a webcam and let everyone see it.
This is not real. No, Mike doesn't type like that.
He does not. I don't know why I went there. I wanted to express the geekiness.
And he was a baby, so he's young.
He was a tiny baby,
tiny toddler.
Yeah.
And he wrote adventures that were published in Dungeon.
Yeah.
And then years later, here they come again.
Here they come. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know. It's weird to think of him doing anything except Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. Perkins
we've all had crazy past, though.
Yeah, I don't think Perkins has done anything besides.
Lord above.
He came out of the womb.
No, he worked at a nuclear plant. He used to be a runway model. He used to be an MMA fighter.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, dude.
And a school teacher?
Chris Perkins.
He was also a school teacher, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
he has lived. He's an ageless vampire, which we all know. But I think he is. I think he's like 600 years old.
Can we go? He was a runway model.
Can we go back to that, please?
We gotta go back to that.
I have looked for pictures, but this came from his own mouth.
Did he told you I was a runway model?
Yes, he's told me all of these careers.
Was he like, was it a career or were like, I was doing my friend a favor and I walked in her show?
You're gonna have to ask him. I wanted no further. I wanted nothing to spoil the magic.
An MMA fighter? I think I do remember something about.
Yeah.
Wait, but didn't MMA just kind of come about recently-ish?
Not in Canada.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
Right, this makes sense.
Yeah. A pioneer
Canadian MMA has been around forever.
This is not, none of these are jokes. Like he's done all these things. And
stop laughing.
I assume, stop. It's not funny.
I'm sorry.
I assume based on that, like I've only scratched the surface with Chris Perkins.
Yeah.
He's probably done at least 10 other interesting careers. But also mysteriously has done this since he was 16 years old.
I
so
know.
And he's got that uncanny ability to be like, oh yeah, that was in this Dragon issue number 45 where this was happening. I was like, where? How?
Because he was an editor, right? He was editing those.
Sure,
so
I've edited tons of articles in my time. I can't tell you jack crap about them. Yeah, I mean, I definitely have. I thought I had a above average comprehension of that stuff. No, he's got it.
I have to sit next to him every day, and even if we don't talk much, I still feel stupid.
Just in his presence.
Just in his
through
presence.
osmosis, you're like, I'm not getting half of what I should be getting from this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, I was going to say, we've all had crazy backgrounds. And Shelley and I have talked about our theater background a lot.
Oh.
Did you were a theater person at all?
Oh, yeah. I was in mostly in high school and then right after high school. So, high school shit. But I had this moment. I remember I was 17 years old and I was cast as Grandma Zeidel in Fiddler on the Roof.
Ooh.
But I wanted Yenta, and I was a real bitch about it, too. I was like, no, I will not take the Grandma Zeidel role. I am Yenta. And I remember a friend was like, you are being such a prima donna right now. And it's like, this isn't even a bad role. So I took it. But what happened was the night I went to a boarding school off in Durham, and so my parents were 2.5 hours away. So my dad came. He drove 2.5 hours to see me play Grandma Zeidel in Fiddler on the Roof, and I was very excited. The night my dad came, Golda got sick. She had like 105-degree fever.
That you gave her.
That I gave her. with a carefully crafted poison of my own design.
The coven was formed.
Yes. No, I did not curse her, and I didn't even want the role of Golda. I wanted Yenta. I was a matchmaker. I was hilarious.
Make me a match.
Exactly. God, it's so good. Anyway, their understudy for Golda was already playing a crucial role that had no understudy because we were kids. We didn't know how that should work.
Right.
And so I was like, I could do it. And the director was like, you know what? Sure. So in 24 hours, my best friend and I, we stayed up all night. We memorized all of Golda's lines, all of her songs, had no idea whether it was going to work. And then the night my dad came, there was this announcement like, the role of Golda tonight will be played by Katie Welch. And then I played the role of Golda, and I didn't mess it up at all. And it was amazing.
Who played Grandma?
Another person in the chorus. She came and stepped into the Grandma's Idol role.
Everybody.
Yeah, dude. And that was like the height of my theater career. I felt like a Hollywood agent here is definitely going to come give me a contract. I'm about to be a movie star.
Mr. Guffman's in the front row.
Yep, exactly.
You could learn that in 24
hours. I think so. Yeah, I have a great short-term memory. Not so great on the long term.
I'm the opposite.
I have like stage fright though, just thinking about that.
I do too.
Like
I sometimes still have dreams about like memorize. Like, oh, you're going on stage in an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
Actor's
I haven't
nightmare.
even seen the lines yet.
You're right.
Oh God!
I definitely there were some meaningful pauses that didn't exist that should have been filled by lines. I remember those. I was like, what do I say next? And then the guy who was playing whatever his name is, the guy, the Golda's husband.
Not important.
Doesn't matter. Anyway,
Fiddler.
The fiddler man, fiddlerman. He would be like, "Don't you agree?" You know. Like that's like giving me the prompts on stage. I'm like, yes, of course. But yeah, I didn't do any major flubs, and the show went on. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You'll be accepting your Tony for that performance pretty soon.
Yep. One of these days they're going to get around to reviewing the footage, and they're going to be like, this 16-year-old got it, 17.
Is there a video?
God, no. Oh. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
This was 2001.
Oh.
So it was pre-video cell phones.
I did... I would the only play that I was in was when I was a senior, and I was playing this role named Tito. It was Tito Morelli, and I think that's the only reason I got the role was because it matched, and the director didn't want to have to talk to two different people. But I was so panicked about not knowing my lines that every single time I went off stage, I had a book that I had the role way longer than you did. I had it for like months, and I still was like studying, and then I would go back on and be like, all right, I got it.
Yeah.
And there were still moments where there was pauses where I was like, I'm going to say the thing I'm supposed to be saying right now. And it was,
I'll say something that moves this play forward.
Exactly.
Who knows what it'll be.
See, that's why you're a good dungeon master.
I think so. These are inextrably tied, I think. Like to be a good dungeon master or a good player, I think having a little theater background doesn't hurt anything. We're all just want to be LARPers. Yeah.
Right.
You know, have you guys seen the documentary about LARPers called Monster Camp?
I haven't. No, it's good.
Oh, it's so good.
Really?
Because I until that point, LARPers had been a thing that people made fun of, right? Like, oh, you're LARPing. LARP is so dorky, which is awful, and LARP is not dorky. It's wonderful. But Monster Camp, I anticipated it was going to be a thing where it's watching a bunch of dorks do their LARPing stuff. But by the end of that, I'm like, oh my God, I have to find a LARPing group. I need it so bad. I need it in my life so bad because it looks like so much fun, and they're so passionate about it, and their drama is so real to them, and it's like, this is beautiful. I want to be a part of this.
Oh,
I know. But I'm 34 now, and I still have never LARPed.
When we talked to Molly Ostertag, the writer of Witch Boy, she was telling us about her school. They had this basically a LARPing school and or summer camp type thing, and both me and Shelley were the same way. We're like, I think I'd had the same reaction that you had about LARPing back in the day, where I was like, oh, there's a hierarchy of gamers and dorks out there, and LARPers in my mind were always in the
way
bottom.
down. Yeah.
I don't know why. It was just the way I thought as a theater person. I don't know why I shouldn't have thought that.
Right.
But the way she was describing it was like, oh my God, that sounds like my dream. It sounds like a dream. Like come to life.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it, and I was like, I want my kids to go to LARP camp.
I want my kids to go to LARP camp.
I mean, my house is basically LARP camp right now.
Nice. That's awesome.
We shoot arrows. We kill monsters all the time. No.
Real arrows.
Real arrows. Yeah, we're killing
Real
dead
monsters.
But yeah, I mean, have you used that? I mean, you just said, but like, talk a little bit about how that works with you playing Rosie Beestinger in
Sure.
C-Team and stuff.
Well, I'm far from the best role player on that show. I think that credit goes to Amy the Falcon, who plays Walnut. She's so good at role playing. But
Fantastic.
I love moments of drama. I do this thing. Can't believe I'm about to say this. I do this thing. I've always done this thing when I'm alone, and I'm in usually like when I'm in the shower or I'm putting on my makeup or something.
Where are we going with this?
and it's X-rated. No, it's completely it's very innocuous. But I've always done it where I'll be like sudsing up my shampoo and I'll be like, "How dare you talk to me like that?" Like I'll just start.
I do that.
Yeah, I just start having a dramatic conversation
Me
with
too.
no one.
I just start like, I'm gonna play now.
Yeah. I'll be like, your mother said what to you, and you listened to her. Why don't you trust me? Like I can just do. I
You don't
just
do
go
this?
that.
I do.
You
this.
don't do this?
Sometimes I actually get like a good nugget, and I'm like, I'm gonna go write that down.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
That was
and
good dialogue.
I think of it. I've always thought of this as like when I get to Hollywood and I become an actor, this will be my practice. And obviously, as my 20s waned, I was like, yeah, that's not happening. But
you still do this,
but
right?
I still do
Asking
it.
for a friend.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All the time.
This morning.
And
Yeah, I do it in the car
every single day. Oh God,
just
in
like-
the car, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But I think it's a wonderful practice for playing NPCs in as a dungeon master or playing your own PC, because those moments when that drama happens, you're like, I rehearsed this emotion. How dare you?
You know,
like,
this moment would come.
Yeah, like I know what I've been practicing for this whole time, and it's to play my little halfling monk on a D&D television show.
There you go. Who would have thought?
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Where did Rosie come from?
Rosie is an amalgamation of a lot of things. I had never seen a really antique person being played heroically. She's
antique.
Yeah, she's vintage. She's the upper limit of halfling lifespans is like 150 years old, I think, and so I made her 120. So she's up there, right? But she's not so ancient that like the idea of her moving her body would be inexplicable, However, what it came from is a lot of things. I wanted to portray a heroic old person. I wanted to work out my own insecurities and fears about growing old. I think that everybody's afraid to grow old, I'm sure. That seems like a pretty universal thing, but women in particular, as you grow old, there's an irrelevancy that comes with being old. There's something that makes
as opposed to being distinguished,
right? You got like the Helen Mirrens of the world who can really just like carry it. But I suspect that it takes a lot of work and money to be a Helen Mirren out there in this world, and that's there's a multi-billion-dollar beauty industry designed to give us products and services that will help us not look old, right? And so that's something that I've been struggling with my whole life. And so Rosie is this sort of picturesque ideal of like I want to be old, I want to be wrinkly, and I want to have the appearance of being old, but also still be able to kick ass and scare people, right? It's very important to be frightening. And
just in life in general.
Yeah, I think so. But she is never, and this was inspired by a bunch of stuff. The Discworld novels have this trio of witches that Terry Pratchett wrote that were huge inspirations for Rosie. There's a character on the show, Orange is the New Black. I think it's in season 2. She is this super old lady who.
Oh, I remember her.
She's a bank robber, right?
Yeah.
And that's what she's in for. And it keeps flashing back to her as this young hot Italian girl, like being this bank robber, and then she's in prison and she has cancer, and but her stories, you're like, oh my God. So I think people underestimate old people. They're afraid of old people, but old people, like you can't get to being old without having lived an incredible, crazy life full of stuff that's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So I guess, Rosie's also she's very open with her sexuality, which is something that I also think people shy away from, is the idea of old people being sexual. That's another part of frankly, like without getting silly about it, that's another part of what I'm afraid of about getting old is like, what is my body going to want to do? And so Rosie is sort of this heroic, like, no, she's still got it. You know, she can still, and that's inspired by the character, Donna on Parks and Rec. She is this beautiful, like, very, very curvaceous Black woman. She's very full bodied. And she is not only crazy, confident, but also like magnetically attractive to everyone. She's an incredible character. I love Donna. And so I like stole that. I was like, Rosie's going to be this tiny, shrunken, wrinkled old lady. And I still want her to be able to just like bone down. So yeah, I wanted to like have a positive role model in her old age that I can be like, this is what, and I've always done this with role playing. When I was younger, when I was 13, I know I've said this before, it's very hard to imagine me not being cool. But I was
I can do it. I'm good. I got it.
Wait. Give me a minute.
Wait, theater kids? I think that we all have that in our blood.
But it was, I remember it was a Star Wars online chat room where I started my role playing. I was 13. I told everyone I was 16 because I didn't want to be weird. I want to be a little kid.
You were in a chat room
I was in a chat room at 13. And I made characters, I made these Star Wars characters because I was very into Star Wars. And I role played these women who were all very cool and sexy. Like I remember I used a picture of Yasmine Bleeth from Baywatch as my character, and she was like the 90s hot, you know, she was like so hot. And so I was like, yeah, I want to be just like this. I want to be perceived this way. Even I was 13, I was like, I want to be cool, and I definitely wasn't. I had no friends. I was very good in school, but nobody actually wanted to hang out with me, and I was like sweaty and overweight, and I didn't like myself. So yes, it's okay. It's all right. We've all been there. We're all crying. 13 is rough.
It is.
So, but I remember like this character, this character of, her name was Ivy. I remember finding that I could role play this character, and the more that I tried to figure out like how to play her, the more I realized the aspects of being cool live inside, and that's a really like, friendship was inside us all along. But it was like I can play this character, and she's coming across as cool, and I'm not sourcing that from anywhere but myself. So it became sort of this self-therapy of like I could be this.
Yeah.
I could be a really cool person, and people would like me and want to talk to me, and I could be attractive, and so I did it, I guess. Like I feel pretty good about myself. But now Rosie's the same. I'm like, okay, so what I want to be, because there's no getting away from getting old. But I want to be
that we know of.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, not in our lifetimes. Eventually, we'll all be ageless and we'll wish for death.
We'll be AI. It'll be okay.
Yeah,
hologram.
Before I download my consciousness, yeah, I hope that I get to be an old lady who is strong and confident, powerful in her body, who doesn't take any shit, who's lived a life that she doesn't regret, as far as like the depth of it. You know, she was never bored. She made some choices, as we all have. You know, but the idea that I can kind of like set that as my North Star and be like, I want to be a rockin' old lady one day. And I know that role playing helps me get there.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I've been watching this show recently. I forget what service it's on, but it's called Pen 15. Have you heard of this?
There's a joke coming here.
There's a joke.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
It's a 13-year-old joke.
Yeah,
so it's women who are in their 30s playing 13-year-olds in middle school.
Oh.
It's on Hulu. It's on Hulu. Okay. Thank you. And all the other kids are the right age, or at least they look the right age. So it's like this weird juxtaposition of looking old but acting as if they're the 13-year-olds.
Oh my God, I need to go watch
this.
And
it's so great. It's about all the things you're talking about.
That's awesome.
In some ways, because they're also just figuring themselves out. But it's fantastic. And there's at least 4 scenes in my head as you were talking that I'm like, oh yeah, okay. That's like that. That's
Pen
like
15.
That.
I think I've heard of it because they do. I feel like they do a very realistic version of like instant messengers back in the day. There was apparently like a show that had a great portrayal of like what AOL Instant Messenger
what it actually was like
back in 1998. Yeah, those are the days.
AOL, man, there was a lot of chat rooms.
There's another show that inspired Rosie, and not for good reasons, but it's this show on Netflix called Wild Wild Country. Have you guys seen this?
No.
You would love it. It's about the cult in Oregon.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
All you had to say was cult, and she was
right.
like,
"Oh,
no.
cult, yeah.
I've
Seen
all
I
the
love
shows.
cult shows. I do.
The woman in that show, the Indian woman that is the centerpiece of it, she is this like shrunken, adorable lady, and she's also the most evil. She is real. This is a documentary. She is the most conniving, evil person. Like when you go back, they show video footage of her in the 70s, and then they're interviewing her in modern day, and she's talking about the choices that she made in the service of this cult. But there's literally a part of this show where she talks about grinding up beavers to poison the water supply. Like she is a real life joker. She is an insane criminal. It's so good. Wild Wild Country. And that Rosie has this criminal backstory. Oh, so I was like, yeah, Rosie's she did some stuff. So when I saw that, I was like, if I saw this lady walking down the street, I'd be like, she's adorable.
You're right.
I would not guess that she was a maniacal criminal in the 70s. And that's very inspiring.
That is very cool.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
You can't
And that's
judge
what
people.
you mentioned. Orange is the New Black too, and like the character of Red is.
I know.
I love her so much.
Oh yeah, Red's
Yeah.
So good.
And I know this now, but when I was watching, I was like, oh my God, that's Kate Mulgrew.
Oh, yeah.
I had no connection with her from Voyager, and I was like, wait a second, that's the same person. That makes it even crazier.
Right? I watched so much Voyager. I feel like there were 3 of us watching Voyager, but I loved Voyager because she was the only female captain of all of the Star Trek shows, the Star Wars shows. Yeah, get at me, internet.
The Star shows, everyone knows them. Star Search, Star Trek.
Yeah, I think it was like the soapiest of them, and so a lot of people were like, "This isn't real Star Trek." Bleh. But I loved her. I loved 7 of 9.
Yeah.
I loved B'Elanna Torres. Like all of the female characters on that show are awesome, and all the dudes are super dumb.
They're real dumb. I bounced off that show almost because college happened, and I wasn't able to watch as much.
Oh, I was
and
a
then
little child, so
I was just a small thing, so I was able to do it. But yeah, no, and now with Discovery, I'm like all back in.
Oh yeah,
I
haven't watched.
I want to go back and watch all of it.
Any Discovery
It's
yet.
so good. It's
really?
so good. Yeah, it takes basically what you love about Star Trek and is like, oh, but here's some Game of Thrones flavor in it to be like, oh, here's the episode, like the continual narrative, rather than the having to have it be procedural and like end on the same note every single time.
Is Discovery streaming anywhere, or is it just on like the CBS app?
It's only the CBS
thing.
All access, CBS All Access.
Got it.
It is.
Got it. Okay.
But, yeah,
I got
worthwhile.
That's what I've heard is that people just get the CBS for Discovery, and that it's totally worth it.
You can catch up on back seasons of Big Brother as well.
Oh, finally.
Apparently you can also not only do the back seasons, but you can actually join and watch like the feed.
Oh, that's right.
Because of CBS All Access. You can literally be like, oh, I'm going to watch what's happening in the Big Brother room here.
Oh, look at there's Greg making
Oh, yeah, they're on like season like 45 or something like that.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Still.
Yeah. My Big Brother and I like to watch it. We do, and then we talk about it.
We started watching the show because I thought it was about him.
Yeah, like, Big Brother, I have one of those.
And you're like, why are you grinding up beavers, Big Brother? What are you going to be doing with those?
He's putting them in the water supply.
Dude, Wild Wild Country, so it's
Get out of upstate
wild.
New York now.
I couldn't believe it. Like the first episode, I had to look it up. I had to pause it and look it up on Wikipedia because I thought it was a mockumentary.
Right.
Like it was so friggin' unbelievable. But there are people in this area who remember the Rajneesh
backyard.
Rajneesh, I think was the cult.
Oregon.
It was in Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah. And so, I can't remember the name of the cult, but it's so fascinating. I was screaming at my television, which never happens. I was just like, what? I'd pause it and go, what?
This can't be true.
Are you serious? It was insane.
I love that.
Really
Have
good.
you seen the, no, I can't remember. Catwalk, maybe? The one about shows that you think are a mockumentary, but they're really not.
No. Oh no, that's the one about the cat shows, right?
But in Canada.
I've seen it twice.
Oh, Canadian.
That one I've seen twice. Team Ooh La La, by the way.
Oh, God, I loved it.
Thank you. A lot of people are like, Ooh La La's disgusting. She is the most beautiful animal I've ever seen. She's one of those super smash-faced Persians where their nose is like above their eyes.
There was, that was an amazing show.
Yeah.
I was like, is this real?
I know.
Like somehow, like everybody was just super endearing and charming.
I know, it was really cute. And like they go into these like sad little gymnasiums for their cat shows, and there was a scene where they did an agility course, and the cats are like, no.
We're not dogs.
No, not gonna do it.
We ain't stupid. And like these shows take place in like little
like community
the basements
centers.
of a community center.
But everybody's so passionate about their cats.
This is all inspiration for playing Tabaxi.
I was just gonna say
exactly. Yeah,
and
you got all kinds of Tabaxi inspiration.
As well as
did
your
just
familiars.
Chris Lindsay just helped me create a Tabaxi for Gary Cub.
Ooh, tell me about your Tabaxi.
Her name is Sure Shot Paw Paw Paw.
Sure Shot?
Someone has to stop you.
She's a ranger.
You are atrocious.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Sure Shot Paw Paw Paw. All right.
Like Sure Shot?
Yes.
Oh, like because she's a ranger. Sure Shot.
Oh, Sure Shot. Okay.
Sure Shot.
Sure Shot.
Sure.
Like a Sure.
Sure.
Is it a Beastie Boys fan? Is she?
Paw Paw Paw.
Paw Paw Paw.
Does she only have three? Does she only have 3 paws? Is she missing a paw?
Now she is.
She's lame. She's totally lame.
But
she's got a wooden leg.
Lame, like for real lame.
Yeah, for real
not
lame.
Like
well,
stupid.
both lame.
Yeah.
I mean, she's lame that way and
She's
lame the
not
other
lame.
way.
Why do you always hate my Tabaxis?
I mean, she's cool and lame at the same time.
Can't I just have a Tabaxi?
You
that
can have
don't
a Tabaxi.
Disparage in some way.
Well, now I got to bring back Daryl.
They don't know each other.
That's right. They'll be like, I miss my sister.
Oh,
she's gone.
Too little, too late, Daryl. You left her in Chulta.
We created Tabaxis that were from the same litter. There was Drunky Two Shoes
and Daryl Two Shoes.
So this is. Would you guys call this a cat fight that's going on right now?
Meow.
Don't shake your head at me, Pelham. Don't you dare. You loved it.
So bringing it back to Saltmarsh, it's going to be good, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. No, it's going to be great. I'm so excited about it. And I wouldn't. It was my first like from nascency to product. But still, even given that, I do think it's very cool. We had this producer named Will who works on the magic stuff, or maybe he's in finance. I can't remember. Anyway, he's great, but he used to be a merchant marine for many years.
Oh.
And so we had multiple meetings with him where I would just pick his brain, like what are some weird things that happen at sea, and that dude has so many stories.
Really?
And a lot of those stories ended up making their way into NPCs and roll tables and things. And so yeah, we had a good time.
I love roll tables.
Yeah. I love roll tables. It's so much fun to make them, by the way. Oh my
really?
God.
So
yes.
much fun just to play them.
I love to make them. It's the kind of thing where I've described this before, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but you can like, I was sitting on my desk and I'd just gaze out the window and I'd think like, I don't know, what's some D&D stuff? And then it feels like this creativity felt like when you put the radio on scan mode and it stops at a station, you hear a little bit of the music and then it moves on unless you stop. So I can just put my brain on scan mode, be like, what's some cool stuff? I don't know, goblins in some kind of like dwarven stone ship that they stole, and there's no reason that this should float, but it's magical, I guess. And they want you to find a shipwreck because their ship sank and you need to lift it out of the sea. That kind of thing is like what I'd put on a random encounter table. Like you're at sea and you see this weird ship. What is it? Roll on this table. It's this.
So
what's cool about stuff like that is that it's not, you don't need to flesh it out. It's just like, here's the idea.
Yeah.
Dungeon Master, flesh it out.
Yeah,
Players might interact with that and then take it a whole different direction than what you were even thinking.
Yeah. As with everything, one of the things that I love about 5th edition in particular is that Ghost of Saltmarsh is a great book for you to run and take verbatim at its word, but it's also an awesome springboard for creativity and new ideas. Mm-hmm. So as with everything, it's like take what you love out of this, leave what you don't love, and then use it to make your own stuff. Put this, like, take all of Saltmarsh and all of our random encounters and put them in space. You know, do that.
Why not?
Yeah, why
right?
not?
People have been asking
Clamoring
for Spelljammer. Do it on your own. Yeah. They're all ships.
Spelljammer confirmed coming out.
Oh, no.
Dang it, again?
Oh, no.
How many times have you confirmed it at this point?
Oh, I love to confirm Spelljammer on a daily basis. No, I'm not confirming Spelljammer.
Too late. It's already out there.
Please don't fire me, Nathan.
We are going on the ship of space.
Yep. Space. Like a space ship.
Oh, I never heard that before.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm writing this down.
This
On
is the falling star. Duh. It's like right there.
Ooh,
the falling
star. That's beautiful.
Please tell me you remember the Great Space Coaster.
I remember the Great Space Coaster.
What is this an old person thing?
This is the interview over, right?
Yeah, this is
Shelley's
the
done.
last time I'll be on Dragon Talk.
Remember, old people are cool,
it is.
right?
That's why I was asking
that whole
you.
portion about how old people were
You're
cool.
a fraud.
Why do you think I like you so much? Shelley's not old.
Sexy old lady.
Right. Hell yeah, you are. Are you kidding? That's for real.
All of that?
All right, you're back.
All of those adjectives?
Invited back.
Like
that's
all
it.
of them.
Yes, of course.
Like even the old.
Heroic, sexy, young lady. You're certainly not rosy old. Call me when you're 120 and I'll be impressed.
Close. Expect a call tomorrow.
Well, you were born right after Kesha.
Yes.
Amazing.
Right. Our birthdays are
We're really bad
apart.
at time travel, and this is part of the reason why. It's messed up everything. It's a Star Trek episode. All right, well, it's been awesome chatting with you, as always.
That's my first and last Dragon Talk appearance.
Not at all. We'll have you back on every week from going forward.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yes.
Greg.
And we're excited about doing a segments going forward, too.
Yes,
So
that's fun.
I know so many secrets.
So many secrets.
Once I'm allowed to tell you guys, I'll tell you all the secrets.
Okay, you can come back.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
There might even be some sinister secrets that you could reveal. Oh, God. All right, I'm done. Thank you guys so much. Where can people know where to look for you on the Twitters?
Totally.
But if you wanted to give a shout out to yourself, how would you do that?
Sure. I'm in the middle of a Twitter break right now, but
that's right.
You can follow me, Kate Welch with 4 H's, Kate Welch, and that's pretty much it.
What about Acquisitions Incorporated C-Team?
Oh yeah, of course. If you want to watch the C-Team, Acquisitions Incorporated, we stream every Wednesday from 4 till 7 on Penny Arcade. twitch.tv/Penny Arcade, and it's also hosted by the D&D channel, so you can watch our antics there. There is a lot going on, and it is a blast, and I think we make a pretty funny show. And Jerry Holkins is our DM and just kills it every week, so it's worth tuning in, if only for his storytelling.
You guys do good work.
Thank you. I think you guys do really good work.
I
was thinking about, I was really excited to come on Dragon Talk today because I like you guys so much.
Oh, well, we like you too.
Oh, we like
Are we
That's
still
it.
on? No.
Yeah, we're totally still on. And we'll
I
have
hope so.
Can we just have you come on to do that every week?
Yeah,
and
just
lift
at the
us
end,
up?
run over.
Lift us
That's
up
really
where
the theme
we
of the show, is
belong.
that we just lift each other's spirits up.
That's really
It's
nice.
true.
So you just did
We need
that.
it.
You filled our buckets.
Oh.
Not with laughter.
With love
There's
and laughter, of
a
course.
hole in the... All right. No.
There's
Dear
a hole in your bucket.
Dear Liza,
Dear
dear
Liza.
Liza. Are we doing something after
God,
this?
Pelham, you're gonna
Yes,
hurt
we
your
are.
neck.
Oh yeah. Do you want
We're
to
going
talk
to take
about
a short break. That'll be it for the interview. We're going to take a break and get set up to do random character generator.
I
Yes.
can't wait. I'm gonna watch that.
You
should
gonna watch it?
Yeah, you should.
Let's do it.
You're gonna watch it?
Yeah.
Well, now I gotta watch Dragon Talk.
No, you don't.
Just the part where you're on. That's fine.
Just my stuff. I'll
yeah.
zoom in on
Don't
my
worry.
face.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like I'm gonna
like
ask
Pelham
you.
was doing the whole time.
Yeah, really.
Well, thank you guys. We'll be back in just a little bit as we set up for that, but we'll see you very soon with the return of Kate Welch.
Bye.
Bye.